So, Fnaf, crazy big franchise. You've probably heard a billion theories about it, whether they're from game theory or, Fnaf, or maybe some of the smaller channels, Squire Squawks, anyone. But this is my interpretation. This video has been the hardest thing I've ever done, making this, constructing this. So, I don't really care if this theory is terrible. I'm gonna try really hard. So, William Afton kills the kids in the order of the gravestones from Help Wanted 2. This is the only way the gravestone order makes sense, and like Scott said, he tries to clarify stuff that caused confusion in earlier games, in later games. So, I don't think this should be a controversial opinion. It is a bit odd for the puppet to be last. But, Chica did say, I am the first. I have seen everything. So, kind of hard to ignore that. Here's a twist that some people probably won't expect. I think there's one soul in Golden Freddy, and it's the crying child. Not entirely sure about the general fandom's opinion of two souls versus one soul, duo spirit versus one, but this is my hardline stance. Two souls is really only supported by the Fnaf Theory bad ending image and a mild circumstantial evidence from the books. Not even like the Fazbear Frights ones. And even that evidence is really mild and really circumstantial. I feel like that's one of those things that we extrapolated at a very early point in the franchise, but it doesn't make logical sense at this point in the franchise. So then, William kills kids, his son dies, he retires the Springlock animatronics. I'm not entirely convinced of why the Springlock animatronics got retired. Best guess is there's just a general accident, or they decided to frame the bite as a Springlock failure. Because it wasn't a Springlock failure, it was in suit mode. Springlocks can't fail if they're not, having tension put upon them. So they probably framed it as a Springlock failure. Also, there's a FNAF 1 newspaper clipping said a man was, convicted or tried. It's pretty unclear, but I think that was Henry, and he was framed. Also, I think, the mound in Midnight Motorist, I think that's a unmarked grave of one of William's victims. Could be any number of them, but I think he didn't stuff them. He took them to a place in the woods, buried them, and then the puppet came to life, stuffed them along with the crying child because of general confusion around the crying child's death. I think that's probably the most likely explanation, because William can't stuff them. Well, he could stuff them, but then the minigame give gifts, give life does not make logical sense. Then of course we have A Fnaf 2, next point in the timeline, I think that the dead child incident where all those kids are scared about was William trying to get a better understanding of the ghosts. So I think at this point there's no bodies inside the animatronics. They got removed, maybe by William personally, maybe by some other third party. Here's a little twist. I think Toy Freddy did the bite. I know some stuff in the new Phone Guy book suggests it was Foxy, not Mangled, but Foxy. But that's illogical, because if it was Withered Foxy that killed them, the toy animatronics wouldn't be discontinued. So, yeah, sorry, that doesn't make sense. And if it is the direction they go in the story, that's stupid. Official take from me. Stupid. Now FNAF 1 isn't really lore important. Nothing happens that really affects the story in any type of way. Most of the lore from that game comes from Easter eggs about the past of the franchise. I don't think its location on the timeline truly matters. I don't even think Michael was the security guard for 1 or 2. Because 2, he's like max 16. Because if you look at the sprites in FNAF 4, he's like a maximum age 12. And that's a really high estimate. Like, he's not that much taller than David. He's not much taller than his little brother, and his little brother is definitely like 6 at maximum, maybe 7 if we're really pushing it, just compared to the heights of the adults. Then we got, of course, sister location. Sister location, I think it has to happen after 1, before 3. Here's the thing that I think. The sister location animatronics are probably not the FNAF 1 animatronics like melted down because of just the structure of the minigames. I think that the Follow Me minigames all probably take place at one night. And there'd be no reason. Well, he could be coming back for Golden Freddy on the 5th night. But I just don't buy it. I don't. And then, I think he had to directly because also, another thing about not Molten MCI, I guess it would be Molten MCI, but they're just the missing children incidents, kids being in the fun times, is that the fun times, William's alive during the Circus Babies, Pizza World time, just logically speaking, and the fun times are definitely there for that, because the way in which they kill kids is as a pack, not Ballora, Funtime Foxy's lure away the kids, Baby does the actual killing, Funtime Freddy does the long-term storage. None of those work without the other. Baby would not work without the other animatronics luring them away. Funtime Freddy's entire purpose is just a glorified storage tank on legs. And there's no reason to lure kids away unless there has to be one person in the room. So, yeah. Molten MCI just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up. And if you don't know what Molten MCI is, it's the idea that all the missing child's incident kids are in the Funtime animatronics. I think it's far more likely that it's the toy animatronics and whatever, because they're made using parts of the MCI kids, and they also probably have some remnants of the dead kids we actually physically see in the FNAF 2 location. I think that makes sense, because those dead kids... FNAF is not a game franchise where kids die and don't possess something. I think there's been like 3 deaths in the franchise where it doesn't possess something, and one of those is Help Wanted Jeremy, and I feel like there's a difference between suicide and getting murdered. Soul possession rise, that's probably one of the rules of the franchise. And then Michael gets scooped. And I think the reason it takes him so long is that Afton Robotics probably just had its hand in a bunch of stuff. It was probably, making the mediocre melodies, and it probably wasn't just stuff like, oh, here's Freddy Fazbear and all his friends. Afton Robotics also probably made, like, factory equipment and stuff, because they're not Afton animatronics, they're Afton Robotics. So they were probably making, machines to, like, make a car and parts for cars, as well as here's Freddy Fazbear. It's just not a logical progression of a company and Fazbear Entertainment's probably a subsidiary, or the original Fazbear Entertainment that's got destroyed because the Fazbear Entertainment in Help Wanted and all games beyond that in the timeline is a different company. If you didn't know that, it's true. One of them, they're different companies. So Henry was right, the company is gone. I think Henry probably got released from prison, not because his sentence ran up, because they think he killed 5 kids, but there's probably just more DNA evidence at the time. Then we got the obvious stuff. This point of the timelines are pretty self-explanatory. Michael Burns, Springtrap at Fnaf 3. Then Henry's like, let it all burn. I hate everything, and I'm killing my daughter. And Michael, he's a terrible guy. If you actually look at the subtext, he didn't ask Michael. He's just like, hey, I'm killing you now, Michael, because I think you want this. He could not want to die. He probably does, but it's always good to ask. Consent is very important. Also, he made a robot bear to capture and give his daughter, like, controlled shocks, like a crazy evil guy. He's less evil than William, but that doesn't make him a good guy. Also, he's fully prepared to just, like, put a random person in, like, absolute peril. Also, lobotomize them if they uncover his secrets. His, like, very base level secrets that are not incriminating in the slightest. He's fully okay, well, I'm gonna lobotomize you now because you figured out I made a robot as the owner of a child robot company. Those files are not incriminating enough to lobotomize someone over. But here's the insane crackpot part of my theory. Everything else has been relatively normal, relatively expected. Here is my insane loony bin take. So before any deaths in the franchise, Afton Robotics would use Fall Fest to demonstrate new products. Not loony bin yet, but here's where it gets insane and goofy. there's a fire at Fall Fest, and the only person that died was Henry's son from the books. So that way, the wound first inflicted on me doesn't contradict with the gravestones from Fnaf Help Wanted 2. Gotta come up with an acronym for Help Wanted 2, because that's a way too long title. Also, here's my theory on the Mimic. The big, bad, devilish guy, he's probably gonna be the villain for the next 7 years of the franchise. The Mimic. He probably had a soul in him at one point. My guess is Sammy, Henry's son. But then that soul got destroyed, and now it's just agony mixed with programming causing him to do all of that. I think that's a logical conclusion. Also, little bonus theory. This spring lock suit from Fnaf's sister location was probably just made so William could observe the killing process of Baby and the other animatronics without it counting him as a person, because Baby very specifically counts people. This is a suit that makes you look like a robot, and the line says it was never used how it was meant to, in like a sinister tone. So you're thinking, okay, so this suit was used for something bad and devilish when it was just meant to be used to entertain kids. But I think this is sort of like a role reversal of that. Everything in Sister Location was made for the purpose of like killing souls and torturing souls. Why would this suit just be made to entertain kids and then kill? And then it was used as like William Afton's like cover. It was probably just a generic suit, so that way he could observe the actual killing process, make sure it goes off without a hitch. But he didn't use it on the first day because he was using it to entertain kids, so it wasn't used what it was meant for. Bit of an odd note to end it on, because honestly, like the crack part of this, I'm convinced currently is right. We'll see with Secrets of the Mimic that will be the make or break moment with that theory. But I'm fully convinced that spring lock suit was just used to interfere with the counting mechanism. Also, here's some facts, not facts. Here's some things I think are true about the canon. No books are canon. The closest books to being canon are probably Tales from the Pizzaplex. Also, the cookbook. I think those are real. I think the cookbook was probably released by Fazbear in universe as a cookbook, but that's a nothing theory. Also, the survival logbook is definitely 100% canon. Now, we will know definitely if the Pizzaplex books are canon when Secrets of the Mimic comes out, and if the Mimic's origin is different than the Mimic's book origin, the Mimic's origin. We're not calling it that. I'm not calling it that. No. The Mimic's origin from the books, not the Borgin, because that's a horrible name for it. I'm sorry. Also, I don't think that Into the Pit, the game, is canon. Just because of the way it was developed as like a... It was originally, if you don't know this, it was originally going to be released on the SNES as like a physical cartridge. But then it just kept growing and expanding. And that really makes me doubt its canonicity. But even if it is canon, what does it add to the timeline? Because in case you don't know this, it's not really time travel. Maybe in the game it is, because it does have some major differences from the book, or so I've been told. Haven't read the book or played the game. Just don't have anything to play it on. It's one of the 2 games I haven't played from this franchise. Unless you want to count Fury's Rage and all the Freddy in Space games, in which case the number goes up substantially. I also didn't play that Roblox game that released for a day, and I played like 2 seconds of the AR game, but no one cares about that game. It did nothing for the lore. It had like 3 emails that mattered and a billion pieces of cut content that were cool, but they're cut content, so we can't count them. You know, it would be cool if bears were extinct in Fnaf World not Fnaf World, but the FNAF, the world of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, not the FNAF world, because also, FNAF World, the game probably takes place at the same time as 3. I've seen some people say that takes place after 3, but that doesn't make sense. Also, you probably play as Michael during FNAF World. But with this theory, there is no, vengeful spirit that I've mentioned so far. And the vengeful spirit is a big thing. You know, when Dual Process Theory released their theory, their biggest point of contention was, of course, the vengeful spirit. Because there was no second ghost in Golden Freddy, so it kind of had to be Michael. It can't be Michael, because Michael, he wasn't killed by... that's the one part of that theory I don't like. Michael wasn't killed by William, so how could he be the vengeful spirit, the one he should not have killed? Also, he's not a blonde. If you look at the image and, brown it up and adjust the contrast and stuff properly, it's a blonde child. I think the vengeful spirit is probably Sammy, or just, I'm using Sammy because that's the name from the books, but Henry's son, or it could be a daughter. I'm using son because, again, the books. Granted, Henry isn't blonde and Charlie isn't blonde, but it's not entirely impossible for Sammy to be blonde. We've still got Mrs. Emily. Emily's probably not the last name, but it's the closest we're ever going to get to a last name for Henry. It's probably just Charlie's middle name. But I'm still going to call him Henry Emily just because we don't have anything better. And we do have loads of stuff worse. You can hate this theory. You fully have that right. But if you dare to call me a fake FNAF fan, I'm gonna be a little angry. I'm not gonna overreact. I'm not gonna crash out. But this theory comes from a place of love. I've been following this franchise since FNAF 2 came out. I have my own custom and very bad artwork of my walls of every single FNAF character circa mid-2020. And when I say every single FNAF character, I don't mean every single animatronic. I mean every character other than the FNAF world enemies. I mean Old Man Consequences and stuff. Tangle. But not the Blob Tangle. Tangle the FNAF world NPC. Lolbit. Before the masks and the mask and general props of the animatronics from Fnaf 3. Okay, I'm not a fake fan. I may be a wrong fan, but I'm a real fan that's wrong if I am wrong. And if I am, 100% wrong, I still believe that Springlock Theory, that suit was just used to trick the AI to actually get them to not count William as a person, so he could observe the killing. And it also makes sense because I keep saying Henry because it's 2 a.m. when I'm recording this, because I have to do this when my entire family is asleep because they're very loud. But Fnaf, I think, because that would also line up because Michael and William are probably around the same height. It's just, they look similar enough. So they're probably around the same height. That's something that's weird about Springlock suits. You probably have to be a certain height to use them. No one's ever thought about that before. I guess the FNAF movie, that little kid goes into a Springlock suit, but she's not moving around. She's laying down, scared out of her mind. But that's my theory. It may be a bit crazy, but I've worked really hard on writing this. I'm recording the voiceover before I've edited this, but I can already picture myself ripping my hair out over this editing process. I made multiple special animations for this theory that are on the cutting room floor, but are also not nearly good enough to include upon their own, just as solo uploaded animations, because they're gonna I feel like it's my other 2 videos. Those are 2 animations I'm relatively proud of. Got the circus baby eyes going from blue to green. That one was a pretty cool effect. It was the first time I really used gamma change like that. And there's some smear frames in there, and smear frames are fun. If you ever animate, do smear frames. They're epic. I think at the Michael Afton one, that's who that is in that video, Michael Afton. I'm sick and tired. This is a major tangent, but every time I see a Michael Afton design and it's some twink, buddy, I get angry. I get mad. Michael Afton, it's a vaguely purplish pall of skin. That's why I draw Michael Afton like that. Because it's lore accurate. I don't want your Tumblr sexy men. Because that's weird. You already have the Onceler, you have Bill Cipher, you have Sans Undertale. You can't take Michael from me. You can take William, though. That is noticeably weirder because that guy kills kids. But you're the one dealing with the moral ramifications of that, not me. What was I on about? Oh yeah, that's just a theory. A game theory. I'm Rytoast. Thanks for watching. You have to be absolutely kidding me. I was finding images for the editing process, and I'm sure you all enjoyed my great editing skills. They're so good, and I'm not being ironic. I'm being serious. My editing is top-notch. It's not just a glorified slideshow, Mom. Yeah, but sorry that my editing's bad, and my voiceover's bad. My theory's kind of mediocre. It could be worse. I've heard worse. I'm not gonna say from who, but I have heard worse. But anyways, I go in, I'm looking on, I'm looking for images. Want to get official FNAF ones. So just so I don't have to credit any artists. I was gonna have like a Once Sans, Bill Cipher fan art, but I didn't want to have to credit the artist. Granted, no one's seeing this video before they're seeing like an actually good piece of like art on the internet. This is going to get 5 views max, and one of those is my best friend, who is my only subscriber. You're the best, man, but I'm so sorry that I hyped you up on this. It's better than I thought it was going to be after like a certain point, because I accidentally deleted all my video progress when the new iOS update came out. And I was almost done. But anyways, I check, and I see this, people are talking about this new Mimic house on Reddit, because I saw this piece of art, so I went to the FNAF subreddit, and it was the first time I was ever on there, so I scrolled through, and I was like, wow, this is pretty good. What do you mean, the new Mimic house? So I look up FNAF Mimic, Darko, freaking Danny Darko McGee freaking posted YouTube video. He's not the only guy, he's just the first guy I saw. His freaking, what's up guys, welcome back to another Fortnite video. That's Dorko in my mind. Love him? Well, don't love him, I love his videos, but hey, that's how he sounds in my brain. Sorry, you're not saying this, Dorko, I can insult you all I want. But anyways, yeah, they released a free update for Help Wanted 2. I realized I could just call it Help Wanted 2 instead of Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2, so I managed to squash that beef. But anyways, yeah, that's a Secret of the Mimic themed or based. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to, you see, I could either play it myself, but to be honest, I really don't want to. I'm just going to watch a playthrough of it on the internet. I've already gotten one of the endings in that game, and it was fun. It's actually my favorite FNAF game. Just don't want to go into VR. It's Christmas time. It's a hassle. Don't want to run to the Christmas tree. But how do I put this in a way that doesn't make me sound utterly deranged and stupid? I'm gonna watch that video. I'll watch all of his videos. Just watch a bunch of videos about this new update. And if they contradict with my mimic theory in this that I presented, I'm deeply sorry to the 5 of you that are watching this. Deeply from the bottom of my heart. So sorry. But I did say it was a crackpot theory that was probably wrong. But the more I think about that spring lock suit theory, I'm just like, man, that was so good. I was straight up in the kitchen of that one, how much I was cooking. I gotta shut up. I'm tired. I've been editing this all day since I got up. I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired. I want to make a part 2, but I'm not making the part 2 until Secret of the Mimic comes out. My next long form video about this is gonna be Pikmin. I would have voted for Olimar a 3rd term if I could. I love Pikmin. Pikmin. That's the new ending, I guess. I don't know. I hope you like the silly cat